This is Seth Klebe, the host of Watch the Tech, and I have a super special guest today. This is someone who's been in my network circles for a while, but this is really our first chance of meeting. This is Graham Moreno. Graham, how's it going? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I am good, just back from my honeymoon, so getting back into it this week.
Okay, love that. Where was the honeymoon?
I was in Singapore, so just basically ate amazing hawker stall food for a week and hung out by the pool a
Yes.
little bit. It was nice.
Okay, cool. I love that. Did you do any watch shopping while you were in Singapore? It's a great town for that.
We did unsuccessfully in my case, but my wife got some stuff, and then I have a friend who has a watch brand or like a lifestyle brand called Rocky Mountain Watches, and so he is working on getting me two pieces to celebrate the wedding and the honeymoon. So
Okay.
got a bunch of ideas in Singapore and
Okay.
was spamming him with them.
There we go. We're
Yeah,
gonna dive right into that. But
cool.
first, let me tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and your background and why you're perfect for the show. You have really climbed up the ranks of technology sales, starting at MongoDB for a number of years. We share some overlap there. 5 years at Grafana, holding a number of different roles. 2 years across windsurf and cognition, and then now you're off to your latest venture, I should say, being the head of go-to-market at Parallel Web Systems, which, if I'm not mistaken, is largely Kleiner Perkins backed.
Yeah, Kleiner, Sequoia. We've got a great list of investors. Yeah, Parallel's been amazing. It's been so fun and very grateful to have a lot of really good people that have been, instrumental in my career and my life. I like to say that I'm a good example of it being better to be lucky than good. So appreciate the shout out, but a lot of serendipity in those various adventures.
Yeah, definitely. Very cool. So let's get it started here. I was doing a little bit of research on you beyond just LinkedIn, and I watched your entire first round capital interview. And one of the things that I do is I naturally gravitate and stare at people's wrists. I also do that on pretty much every Hunters and Unicorn episode that I watch. And you stumped me because I couldn't really see if you were wearing a watch or not during that interview. So you'll have to answer it for me. Was there something on the wrist?
I doubt it a little bit. I don't often. I feel like I'm very situational with watches. I am a watch person that got into watches because I had people around me that were really into them. And like I was a history major, like many tech salespeople, and like love stories. So I think I've gotten into watches more via the stories, but I'm fairly situational with like when, how, and where I wear them. And I think like one of the things that's really great about Parallel and about like Parag and Travers and the team is I think the like style of the company is a little bit like understated. And a lot of the stuff that John has gotten me early on isn't necessarily. So I often am not wearing a watch. So I actually don't remember in that moment, but it would not surprise me if I wasn't.
Interesting. Okay. So you are not the type of person that will wear a watch every single day. It's
Mm-mm.
situational.
Yeah, I think like yeah, it's very situational. I love watches and they're so cool. I avoided them for exactly this reason for a really long time because I'm like very like watches, wine. I'm sure at some point someone will get me into cars, but anything that is hard to make and that has stories attached to why there's meaning is very appealing to me. I wasn't allowed to watch TV growing up, so I just read a lot of books, and I think I kind of got attached to stories that grabbed me, and watches definitely have that.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. And some people love the lore and the history behind it. I try my best not to comment on controversial posts on Instagram on watches, but I just could not help myself today. Someone was making the argument that Panerai is dead, and the fact that they only do 100 meters of water resistance is not true to their history, being for the Italian Navy. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I see online.
See, my algorithm's not there yet. My algorithm is mostly cooking stuff. A lot of different recipes that allegedly anyone can make that I then try and learn that that's not in fact true.
Oh, well, actually, I've got a great tip for you then. I love to cook and I like to make pasta by hand. And I made the executive decision to actually wear one of my Panerais while doing that. And it turns out that Flour just finds a way to get everywhere. It's all
What
good. It all washed off. No issues, but I looked down, I thought I was being careful. This is covered in a very fine sheen of double O flour.
any particular type of pasta?
Yes, I was making tagliatelle, all manual. No electricity at all. I've
Okay.
just got
So,
these like
so just
old
like the
school.
hands. Yeah, where you can like set the different like thickness levels and all that and like roll.
There's no crank actually.
Oh, it's
It's
even more analog than that.
it
Let's
is
go.
just it's super analog. It's just basically piano wire that's been spaced out on a board.
Like that. That's cool. Yeah, my wife is Italian, Italian American, and
Okay.
so a lot of Italian food in the house. Though I just sous chef and or get the hell out of the way when we're doing that. She is. I can find my way around the kitchen. She is
Okay.
a very very gifted cook.
There we go. Cooking is definitely the time to take a watch off. Otherwise, I pretty much have one on. So let me flip that for you. When is your favorite time to actually say, "Hey, I'm gonna go into the watch box and I'm gonna go pull something out"?
I think to the point of it being situational, like certainly, you know, with my wife and I or my friends and I are going out to dinner, like on trips, like we were on our honeymoon or at our wedding. Like I had one on pretty much every day at the well, you know, is that even true? Most days in the honeymoon for sure. And then like a lot of days around the wedding. But a lot of it for me is just like, where are we going? What are we doing? Who am I with? Like there's certain watches
Sure.
that I associate with certain people. I got my first watch ever less than a year ago. So like
Amazing.
this is a very recent phenomenon.
Oh, okay.
And then I got, like, fully sucked in as I am wont to do with things that interest me.
Okay.
But I got it because, like, me and my team went through something at work, and coming out of it, they got me a watch, and it was, like, a very nice gesture. It's a beautiful watch, and it's one of my favorites because it is something that I'm, like, really emotionally attached to, because anyone who has worked with me knows I tend to get very, like, emotionally bought in and connected to the teams and the people and the companies that I work with. So, like, anytime I'm around folks from that period, I'll make sure to wear that watch because it's like I'm very grateful they did that, and it was a really nice gesture that they didn't have to do, and I so, like, that's one that, like, if I'm gonna go see any of that
Yeah.
crew who are gonna get together, like, I have a couple of watches my wife really likes, so I'll, like, you know, grab her 2 or 3 favorites if we're gonna go get dinner and ask her what she wants. I wear them at selective business meetings, so I have learned that there's way more watch people in the world than I knew, and that, like, it's a good way to kick off a conversation, so there's, like, 1 or 2 that I wear pretty much exclusively at work because they seem to be the ones that, like, as baiting the hook goes, are better conversation starters.
That's funny.
But it really varies. Like, so yeah, depending on the situation, I might have nothing on. I might have, you know, a leather band or a metal bit. Just depends on what we're doing.
Okay. Okay. You keep them guessing. I like that. Well, welcome to the great addiction that is watch collecting. You're in great company. Now, I need to know, what watch did your team get for you? That's huge.
Yeah, unbelievably kind of though. So, so glare.
All right.
Yeah,
Datejust, 41, fluted bezel, gray dial. Clean.
yeah, clean. I want to say Dave Frankel is probably who is to blame for that. It's a good pick. Appreciated how kind of under the radar that was, and it's a great watch. I wear it a lot. It's probably one of the ones that I wear the most, just because it's like it's the one that started it all, and that I have like
Yeah.
a lot of emotional attachment to, just based around like the moment in time that it is attached to in my brain. But then there's a few others. This is the one that I wear a lot at work or at work meetings, like especially in New York City. Everyone seems to notice this and like this. So this has been like a good conversation starter. John recently introduced me to some of these like very limited production, like FPJ is one that like he correctly identified. I would think was interesting and cool and looked good. And so I'm very like story driven for a lot of these. You know, like in Singapore, we went to a couple of Patek dealers, went to like into a couple of, you know, shops that focus on Rolex, went to what, Vacheron Constantine, is that right?
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
Went in
The real
there.
snobs will call it Vacheron Constantin, but whatever. It's
Ah,
close enough.
they're like they definitely get the award for best salespeople. Their team knew their shit. Very good storytelling. Very good at listening. So it's been fun. I think for me, it's like I'm very aware that I am enthusiastic but clueless, which gives me the right to ask a lot of very silly questions and learn a lot, which is fun.
It is, dude, it is this great wide world where, just like technology, there is pretty much infinite things to learn from history, stories, relationships, technical innovation, materials, capabilities, complications, probably 5 other things I'm not calling out, that you can really go deep on. So,
What are yeah?
it sound
What are your favorites? What draws you to a watch?
Man, that's a great question. For me, if I'm going to like add something to my collection, it's been an evolution. You'll probably go through something like this too. It started with use cases. I wanted to buy a great, just all my first watch, just daily. I could wear it up, dressed up. I could wear it dressed down. I could take it into a pool if I switched the strap. So I landed on a watch called an Omega Globemaster, and then from there, I wanted a pure dress watch. And then I wanted a steel watch, steel bracelet, sports watch. That led me to my first Rolex. I wanted a watch with a blue dial. That led me to a Vacheron 56. A great travel watch that I could bring anywhere and feel like no one knows what it is, but it still feels and looks to me like it's a great, super well made watch. That actually led me to an Hermes watch. And then it gets really fun because I ran out of key use cases that I wanted to have in my collection. And then I just started to buy watches purely for the hell of it and because I absolutely love them. Not like I didn't love the other ones, like to be
Yeah.
clear, but I really fell in love with the Blancpain 50 Fathoms in 42 millimeters. I think that that watch is so cool. And previously they were all like 44, 45. They're huge monsters, and like it just wouldn't fit my wrist. So I had to make sure that I could get the right watch.
And
And
what makes
yeah,
that like for you? What makes a watch stand out? The thing that it's fun, it's cool, but like it's overwhelming to me, and it feels like in certain parts there is like a craftsmanship, and just like level of complication, and this thing can tell you, where that satellite is orbiting around
sure.
Mercury.
Sure.
But a lot of it feels like scarcity and very good branding. So like, what is for you the
Yeah.
thing where you're like, hell yeah, that is like a special watch?
Absolutely. There's a couple of different things that can make that watch like special for me. And I'll use this one that's on my wrist actually as an example. And this is the first watch that I actually ever bought from John at Rocky Mountain Watches. So this is a special one to me for that reason, but for others. So this is a Audemars Piguet
Oh yeah.
Royal Oak Offshore Music Edition. And this has definitely been in my like fun era of watches. And so a couple of things. The first is it's just a super fun dial. I'm a time only guy or time and date. I don't need a complication in a watch to make it feel amazing or special. So I was really drawn to this equalizer dial. I'd never seen that before in another watch. It actually has a secret as well. I love watches with like little secret features. If you flash a UV light on it, these like bars will glow, like they'll light up like Christmas. It's
Oh, that's cool.
super cool, super cool.
I guess if you buy that watch, you're probably more likely than most people to have a UV light on your watch at some point.
At some point, it doesn't happen as often as you think, but other than that, the watch is
Hell yeah.
special to me because I had someone from Audemars Piguet come on the show. It was one of my earlier episodes, and I thought that was just super cool. Also, it's as far as AP goes, just on the wrist, it's actually like quite understated. It fits me perfectly. I can
Yeah.
wear it in a pool because it's got a screw down crown. I love bringing my watches into the pool, and the movement is just expertly done. So all of those kind of components kind of come together and really gave me like the eye candy that I wanted to have this and add this into my collection. I don't really care about like will the watch appreciate in value. what's the history of Audemars Piguet? Like, I can't wear the history on my wrist. The
Yeah.
design cues definitely come from that, so I respect that. But I'm not here to like tell someone a super long story about AP's journey,
Yeah. Cool. I love that. That's cool. It's always like
Awesome.
fun for me to hear what pulls people in. What about like brands? Do you have favorites? Are there any you hate? Are we allowed to talk about that on this podcast?
Oh, we can definitely talk about that. I'm actually curious, and I will answer that question. Graham, have there been any watch brands that you've come across that you just know aren't for you?
Yeah, I think some are like very cool and I respect the craftsmanship, but I just would never wear it. Like John introduced me to one, something Grubsy. I just messed that up.
Grubel Forsey,
There we
probably.
go. Grubel
There we go.
Forsey. It's like a
Okay.
little
Yep.
it's like a little steampunk for me, where I was
Fair.
like, I totally see how people could be into this, and this is like cool from a craftsmanship perspective, but I can never pull that off. Like I am not cool or edgy enough to ever wear a watch like that, but they're like fun. Some of the APs I've seen are like awesome, but they're just like flashy in a way that I like think looks awesome, but I know I could never wear.
Totally. That's how I feel
And then
about
they
pretty much
introduced me.
every gold watch.
Yeah, that's fair. Like gold watches are like they hit the sun right, they'll blind you. And then so Richard Mill, MILL.
Yes. Richard Mill.
Yeah, hate how those look. I don't know why you wouldn't just buy a Timex if you're gonna get a lime green watch shaped like a geometry test. This is one of those things. Again, I think if there's a story to them, I don't know, and I'm sure there is. I'm sure I could find it cool.
Yeah.
But the way John and I work is that like he'll send me a bunch of pictures. I provide commentary that I think is funny. And then from there, like the ones that I'm like, oh
Cool.
yeah, that's cool. I would totally wear that. Then he educates me on it.
Okay. Gotcha. That's great. So for me, I mean, there's a lot of brands that I absolutely love, and most of the things they do I find interesting or appealing. I am a long time Panerai, Vacheron,
Yep.
Patek, Rolex fan. I've really grown to love Moser watches
Yeah,
and
I don't know
Ming.
though.
If you're familiar with them, definitely check out Moser. It's funny, like they're probably one of my I was actually on a different watch podcast and they asked me this question, like, what is your favorite watch brand? It's hard to pick, honestly. And I picked Moser. I actually don't even own one of their watches, and they are actually, I think, one of my favorite brands for what they do. I'm a sucker for a really creative dial and a very well made dial. And they ace that almost every single time. Brands I don't like, I'm not a big fan of IWC. The pilot motif just doesn't really do it for me. Now, every brand I think has at least one watch that I find cool or interesting that I could see
Yeah,
myself wearing. I'm a Metropolitan man. Like I don't have to shun the whole brand, just most of their stuff. So,
totally.
IWC, they have the Angenour. I like that watch. I think it's their most like nautical thing that they have, and that definitely fits my style. And that's just the big theme is even if you don't like a brand, there's probably like one watch out there that you can probably find yourself being really drawn to.
For sure. And I think a lot of it, like there are like a low single digit number of watch brands where I've ever been sent a handful of watches and been like, wow, all of those just feel like they're trolling people. Like for the most part, dude, there's one or there's a story or there's a reason where I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I like totally see how
Oh,
someone could
yeah.
find that awesome. And it's just
Well,
like not necessarily my thing.
if you want to see the ultimate troll, I'm gonna veer you back to Richard Mill, and I want you to go look up after this episode the Bonbon Collection. The Bonbon Collection. Think candy
Here.
on your wrist, and that is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, this is silly.
It's silly.
Oh my
However,
God. And I just saw how much it
however,
costs.
however,
That's
yes, the
unbelievable.
cost is obscene,
It's unbelievable.
but
Good for them.
yes, where I'm going with that is watches doesn't always have to be so serious. And I think some of the watches that I'm really drawn to, Rolex has a palm dial where it looks like a palm leaf etched into it. I own that watch. I think it is so fun. It's so me. And it's not serious at all. It's every bit technical, great movement,
Yeah.
all the finishing you would expect, but it's fun. And I love that.
Yeah, no, and that's I mean, I think some of the like what's the Patek one that's basically like a night sky?
Know that one off the top of my
All
head.
right, I mean that's like another one that like almost looks like a paint. Like it's not clear to me that it tells time,
Right.
but it is like a really cool piece of like craftsmanship and work. Yeah, 100%. I think just like for me, what's been cool, like learning more about AP, learning more about like Patek, Vacheron, Rolex, like how they build watches, the way they think about it is just like seeing when they do decide to go and like do something kind of
You're right.
kooky, where I'm like, oh, that's like fun and interesting. Yeah, it's definitely been like a rabbit hole I wasn't expecting to fall down. And then once I did, just like a lot to learn. I am very, very acutely aware that I still have no idea what I'm talking about, which is fun. It's just like a cool thing to go talk to smart people like you and John, who has been my Sherpa through all of this and just like try to
Yes.
gradually get a little bit less dumb every day.
I love it. Well, you've definitely got a friend in me. We can talk watches anytime, man. It would be my absolute pleasure. There's nothing better in the world when a friend texts me and wants to either look at a watch, has a question about a watch, or a brand or something like that. I'm all for it. You strike me as a very detail oriented person. I don't think you could not be detail oriented given the type of career that you've had. So, other than John, do you have a research process to discovering watches, researching watches?
So I think it honestly a lot of it starts with John. I really, really trust him. And then from there I'll just
Amazing.
go and talk to people and do research the same way we did in the old days before AI made it easy for sellers.
Very true. What was the watch you wore while you were getting married?
I did pull that one. It was a like blue face presidential.
Ooh. Okay. Stunning. Talking about the small details, the
Yeah,
way that they do those Roman numerals is
it's cool.
absolutely my favorite. They jump off the dial. How
Yeah,
cool is that?
yeah. So this is another John special. Shout out Rocky Mountain Watches. But I had that on for the wedding, and then probably the one that I wear a lot because it's like leather band and is a little bit feels like a little bit more unobtrusive is the 1908 with like the
Love
sky
that.
blue face that I really like. So
Very
that
clean.
was one of the like fixtures of the honeymoon, I would say.
Okay. There we go. So there's a little bit of a Rolex theme here. I'm here for it.
Lot they're definitely the biggest group in the collection right now. I've got an Omega that I don't have with me right now, but that is like it's green leather, which is great. It's like another one that I kind of have to be
Yeah.
wearing the right outfit for it, but like very understated and looks good and it's fun to take out when I can pull it off.
There we go. I never thought I would say these words out loud, but I somewhat recently became a three Rolex person, and John is to blame. He helped me source a amazing Rolex Hulk to
Okay,
get
yeah, those are
us
fun.
to the third. Yeah. Well, we've been dancing around a little bit, but John's helping you get some new watches right now, I believe. What are the watches that you've recently picked up that are on the way?
So I've got a blue FPJ coming that I'm really excited about.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a all John. I had no idea what that brand was before like 2 weeks ago, and I'm very, very pumped about that. And then we're working on a Patek that will be my first Patek, which I am pumped about because that's been since I got like any since a whole year ago when I started learning anything about watches. Patek was the one where I was like, I feel like I really like this brand's like ethos and like they have some stuff that's very gaudy that's less my speed, but like pretty
Sure.
much anything from them that is like leather fans. I like some of the complications can be a little bit much for me, but very excited for the
Sure.
first attack.
Awesome. Well, congrats on both. These are certainly brands that, people just they kill for. They're just so great. The FPJ, Blue Dial. Does that mean that it also has the tantalum case?
Was
Awesome. That's such a cool metal. It's unlike anything else. It's
I
almost like
didn't know what it
oh, go,
was before 2 weeks ago.
okay. Yeah, there we go. It's like it's almost like you take titanium and then it smokes a cigar and gets a little bit darker. It's so cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Do you happen to know which Patek you're picking up?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like brown leather bands, salmon face, like pretty understated, I would say. The Patek is the minute repeater.
Okay, very cool. That's a great watch. I'm gonna hard shift us, actually, away from watches to a little bit of tech now,
Yeah,
if you'll indulge me on this, Graham. So
yeah,
one of
absolutely.
my favorite things from the First Round Capital interview was early on, there was a dialogue around getting on site with your customers, sitting in the boat with them, really helping them. And I mean, I love and live that every day with my team. And so that seems like something that's successful sellers, like it's just not going away in this AI era of selling. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to build on top of that. What's one more thing of, let's call it traditional sales, that is here to stay? And then what's one thing that you think might be fading away or completely changing out?
Cold calling still works. How you do it has changed for sure, but I still think picking up the phone is effective. You just got to make sure you have your thesis really dialed because buyers are super educated and like it's always been differentiating if someone knows exactly why they're calling and who you are and why it's relevant. But now I think if you're going to pick up the phone and not have all of that, you might as well just stay home. I don't know if it's fair to
Love
say
it.
this is here to stay, but I think enablement is like a hugely underrated tool. Like tools, not even like it's a should be an organizational imperative to do really well. And like you look at, I mean, everyone talks about PTC, we know about them, but like Mongo, AppD, I think we had a really good reputation for it at Windsurf. Like organizations, if you look at where CROs came out of, like where were the talent factories that were developing people, all those companies had CEO down buy-in enablement, and it was expensive and time consuming, and it is absolutely, I think, a huge loss that more companies don't do it today. Like Nicole Rettinger at Mongo and then at Windsurf, Danny McCabe at Windsurf, and now building at Parallel, I think are the best in the game. But I think that is something that there's like a huge, outside of being stuck in their houses for however many years during COVID, I think Gen Z is going to get disadvantaged pretty majorly by growing up in a generation of companies that don't seem to be interested in developing people.
Very fair. Yeah, I would agree. I think enablement is critical. I actually just came back a few weeks ago from my new company, Islands Enablement, and I've been through Mongo's, Salesforce's, and I was like, this is top notch. You know when it's what it should be.
100%. Yeah, it's
100%.
and then what do I think is dying? I think, and this is probably stylistic person to person, but I think the one style has kind of waned and the other has gotten a lot more common. I think there was an era where QBRs were, this gauntlet of flaming trees and axes and like there was a intensity, and I don't totally know what it was meant to test, but it was pretty common, I think, certainly in certain pockets of the tech sales world where people were like yelling and accountability was a little bit like showy and like more based around like publicly humiliating people to encourage other people not to be next. And like I think that is a relic of people that they're a relic of folks that grew up in generations not knowing how to like process emotions healthily and who like, maybe needed to do some therapy and read some Brene Brown. And I like to think that each generation is progressively better than the last on that front. And so I think I see less and less of that style now, which I think is good. I think there were some environments I was in that were like that. And to be fair to them, like produce some really good talent, produce really good results. But I also think that we burned through people who like would have been really successful. And so I think that like seeing a more positive, like inspiration focused way of wanting to coach and apply rigor. Like I think you can have high expectations and rigor and accountability and be like kind and motivating and inspirational. And I think that that is something that is getting more common. And for a long time, there were, I think, a lot of folks pretending or trying to pretend. It's unfair to say they were even close, trying to pretend to be a couple of very big names in the tech sales world who maybe are just like authentically kind of intense and nuts. And like, listen, if that's authentically who you are, and like you have the football coach thing where you can be kind of a psycho and people still want to run you through a wall for you, amazing. But pretending to be that is damn near impossible. And I think that it is, if anything, I think the pendulum has swung too far in the other direction, where now everyone is like everything from that school of thought is wrong. And like, I very, very strongly disagree with that. But I think it is like a positive evolution that some of the more like Byzantine, humiliating aspects of tech sales that were common even 10 years ago seem to have largely like gotten pushed out. And I think that this generation of sellers and sales leaders is a lot more like positive and inspiring, which I think is great. I think that's like healthy for everyone and hopefully means that people bring home less baggage after work.
Totally. Yeah, yeah, that's a great perspective. On that note, we have talked way more than the time we allotted. So, first of all, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that's given this episode a listen, and it means the world to me. But before we sign off, Graham, is there anything that you'd like to tell my listeners or watchers before we part ways here?
Yeah. Two unrelated plugs. If you're in the market for a watch, we've talked about him a lot, but John at Rocky Mountain Watches is the best. Love that human. Such a good, talk about like good people that show up and give a shit. There's like not anyone better. And then on the work front, like Parallel Web Systems, if you're a go-to-market human, like check it out. Great enablement, great team. Very, very excited about what we're building. Like reminds me of Windsurf Recognition in the early days. So like really
Yeah.
fun period of
Cool.
time. And then from a tech perspective, if you're a buyer, whether or not you know it, we're going to be separating reasoning from retrieval over the coming years. There's not another way that AI is going to scale. And Parallel is the layer for agents to access the web. So check us out.
I love it. And my personal announcement is if you work for me and you watch this episode, feel free and enabled if you ever want to buy me a watch. It will score points. And yes, I can be bought.